Mixing can often be a task of diminishing returns. The longer you spend on a track, the harder it seems to get. The more good you can do for a track in that initial period, the better, because that's where you're most objective. So for the mixer who wants to work more efficiently, without sacrificing quality, and get to that pro sound faster, here's 8 ways you can do it. Let's start simple. Just listen to the track. Don't use any plugins when you start. I know it's tempting to get stuck straight in with EQ effects, compression, but in reality, you need to hear where you're starting from. Check out this mix before and after any processing. So first you'll hear the final mix, then I'll flip to a version without any processing at all. I've just adjusted levels on faders. The mix is 70% of the way there just by paying attention to balance. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. There are things that need addressing. EQ problems, overall it's missing some energy, vibe, effects, but generally it's really not that far off, and that's a 5-minute mix, which has come from just getting relative volumes right. Those initial tracks that came in for you to mix, or that you exported out of your tracking session for a mix, are the essence of what's going to come. Your mix is only as good as the tracks you're mixing, so you need to get to know them. If you EQ your vocal before you do any real listening, then in your mind, that's just how that vocal sounds, because you've spent no time with the original. Spend some time getting a fader mix, just levels, no plugins, and you'll get to know the track better and understand what it actually needs. And ultimately, that's what separates a pro mix from an amateur mix, knowing what the mix needs. Stay organised by using groups and buses. So we're still at the very early stages of the mix process. You've got a basic mix where you can hear everything. But again, before you start adding effects and plugins to individual tracks, get everything grouped, bussed and organised so you can process instruments as a whole. I can't stress enough how eye-opening it is to process buses first before individual instruments. You find yourself using far fewer plugins because you're approaching the mix from the top down. Adding some high-end to a vocal bus when all the tracks have been recorded by the same singer, same mic, same room makes a lot of sense. It makes more sense than 6 individual EQ plugins on all the vocals, right? If one of them needs high-end, the others have all been recorded in the same way, so you probably need it too. Save yourself some CPU power. Your buffer size will thank you. Making space for each instrument in the mix. That's the biggest struggle, right? Carving out space for each instrument to allow the whole mix to just feel right and get each instrument in its own space. Often, it's not the instrument that you're focusing on that's the problem. It's the instrument that are underneath it that are stopping it from being heard. The best example of this is vocal that can't be heard over the mid-range of guitar and synths. Now, the quickest method to find out where these issues lie is with Unmask in Neutron, and the good news is it's so quick to set up. Put Neutron on your synth or guitar track, the one that's getting in the way of the vocal. This could also be a bus, of course. Sidechain in your vocal, then bring up the amount knob. It's that simple. Neutron will auto-detect where the conflicting frequencies are, show you them on the display, then let you solve the problem with one control. You can even do this on a full mix. Have all your instruments going to a bus with Unmask inserted, then feed the vocal into that plugin sidechain and get your vocal to sit right on top without any frequency masking. No more sweeping around with EQs, no more soloing, just one control to unmask your vocal. We all know Ozone's Master Assistant, right? And how it can take your mix to another level entirely. But I think that one of its most useful features is actually as an EQ reference. Try this before you dig in too deeply. Put Ozone on your main output like you normally would. Jump to the Master Assistant and let it analyze your track. When it's done, just take a look at the EQ curve. What this is doing is telling you what your track is missing. It's telling you that your mix needs more highs or needs more lows. Use this information to your advantage. Go back to the mix and address the instruments that sit within those frequency ranges. Then when you come back to Master Assistant and the EQ looks like this, you know you're onto something good. It's kind of similar to the way you may use tonal balance control, where you can assign a target EQ curve for your track and see how well it matches to yours, but if you're more comfortable in ozone, it's worth a shot. You've probably seen the Catalyst series of plugins that we've released recently. One that I find to be a real problem solver that gets to the root of the issue fast is Velvet. Sometimes I don't want to take my vocal out of my DAW and put it through RX if the only thing that it needs is some mouth declicking. There's a time and a place for RX in everyone's workflow, but sometimes if the job can be done easier with one plugin and that one plugin also de-esses tone shapes and ultimately prepares your vocal for mixing, that's a pretty handy plugin to use. It's one that saves a few other steps, and that's what we're really talking about here, getting the job done fast. Think of Velvet as your first line of defense. It's preparing your vocal for the mix, removing what you don't want so you're free to start adding what you do want. I'm also using this a lot on buses as it can tame harsh cymbal hits in a really natural way. Give it a shot and let me know what other instruments you're using it on in the comments. Stop mixing in solo. That solo button can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. It's great for zoning in on specific frequencies, but do you ever find that when you hit the solo button, you then find a few other things on a track that never bothered you before? There's two schools of thought here. Firstly, if you solo something and find an issue, you should resolve it. A ringy snare drum, pick scratch on a guitar track. But also, if you didn't notice it until you soloed the track, is it really an issue? When you release the track, the listener doesn't have a solo button, so maybe those tiny issues that you only notice under the microscope don't matter as much in the grand scheme of the mix. Spend less time on the tracks and more time on the mix. Listen with all the faders up the majority of the time, and you'll be hearing what your listeners are hearing. It's sometimes easy to find yourself stuck in a loop of what does this track need? You know the track that you love has a great vocal sound or an amazing guitar sound and you just can't quite get there. Maybe you just need a nudge in the right direction. Neutron Elements and Nectar Elements, as well as their larger, more fully featured counterparts, have the mix and vocal assistants that are designed to do exactly that, guide you in the right direction. Longtime users of the Elements plugins may not be aware that these actually seamlessly integrate with Audio Lens, a free desktop application that makes referencing other tracks easy. Before you start grabbing EQs and effects and spend ages searching for that sound, load up Audio Lens, capture the target profile of the track you love, so an isolated vocal or guitar intro works great here, name it, then go back to your Elements plugin and load up that profile. Instantly you have a match for the tone of your reference that you can lay onto your track. It's that easy. Finally, templates. This is kind of a polarizing topic in audio. Some say templates are a great way to mix fast. Some say they reduce creativity. I'm firmly in the former camp. As soon as I started using templates, my mixes got quicker and better. It's all down to how you use them. The main thing to understand is that templates aren't there to constrain you to using the same processing you did the last time you mixed. They're designed to give you options. For example, I have a vocal chain in Nectar that I know worked great last time, but I also have this other chain that also sometimes works. Sometimes Neoverb hits the mark, sometimes it's Equinox, sometimes Aurora. The whole point of the template is that you can have all these options in there, but when you load your tracks in, you can decide which one you want. I'll audition the first Nectar chain, then disable that and try the second, third, or fourth. They're all there for me when I load it up. Same thing with reverbs. All the buses are already created. I just need to turn up my send amount and audition it. Templates aren't about restrictions, they're about choices. Having all those choices load up as soon as you import your audio into your session means that you work faster, while still keeping all those familiar elements that you know always work for you. You can check out a free template in the description for speeding up the workflow, whether you're mixing or creating music. You may have seen this in Vesper's recent video on the channel. I'd love to know how you approach a mix and what your initial steps are. Let me know in the comments how you like to approach a mix to get the most out of your time. Or maybe you're the opposite. Maybe burning the midnight oil on a mix gets you the best results. That's fine too. Either way, I want to hear about it. Let me know in the comments and I'll see you again soon. Take care.